When I was young, stories were the way of passing on information, whether they were legends of the past or stories of family history or current events. Storytelling, dancing, music is natural to any society. Now that methods of communication have changed, we're taking those tools into our communities and making them our own. That's it. I'm Tansu Cardinal. Welcome to As Long as the Rivers Flow, a documentary series about Native self-government. Tonight's film, Starting Fire with Gunpowder, is directed by Inuk filmmaker David Poisey and William Hansen. It's about the Inuit people's struggle to control television. Satellite dishes like this one in Toronto relay pictures from every part of the planet. Some of those pictures are now coming from the Canadian Arctic. The Inuit Broadcasting Corporation is an inspiration to us all.
I think Inuit are not shy of television or radio. One of the main reasons is that they've always been very communicating kind of people, but it has been very slow because they would take messages from one community to another, from one region to another only by dog teams, and it was
get up there and soar above the clouds like an eagle.
The rhythm of the drum. It is a ceaseless rhythm that sings a song of life, of the old ways, and the new. It is the people who sing and dance these rhythms to life. And for a time, the rhythm of Native American life dwindled to a whisper. The language, the traditions, the spirit life, all nearly lost. This is the story of some inland Northwest Native Americans. They claim many different tribal heritages. They search with a common intensity to find the way back to their tribal soul, to the walk that grandfather and grandmother have given them. In a world where running is the pace of success, they fight to keep their walk alive. Summer is for celebration, time for gathering. Many powwows are held in summertime, but this one, along the shores of Lake Roosevelt, where the Columbia River used to flow free, this gathering is special. Here, the ancient traditions are practiced. The dances and songs are sung, and sacred ceremonies are renewed without the haze of alcohol or illusions of drugs. This campout is the vision of one man.
Walk and stroll, you know, and pick up a little peace of mind. There's a lot of these people are from the city, you know, and they don't have that in the city.
Pierre Louis fought and won his own inner battle.
When I was still, I guess when I was on the bottle, still drinking, you know, I threw all my traditions and spirituality to one side, you know, because I was just nothing but like everybody else, a drunken Indian, you know, and I lived up to it. I think the culture and the traditions and the spirituality is the only thing that ever kept me sober.
It also gave Louis a vision.
That was the dream, was gathering the people. And I had to put the work in to get to the people.
And so, for more than a dozen years, this vision, this gathering, has grown into something rare, giving others the means of seeking their own native past. Cheyenne comes here to add to his knowledge, practice his skills, and pass on what he has learned.
Nowadays we use a lot of metal blades to do hides with. Where old days it was obsidian and chert and that kind of stuff, you know, chipped into things.
What Cheyenne passes on is more than craft, more than knowledge of how to make a tanning solution or stretch a hide.
I mean, there's a lot of people that have got problems, you know, with alcohol and drugs. And especially on the reservations, it's real bad with the young people, you know. So there's a lot of suicides and deaths going on like that. You know, I follow the Creator, and you can call it God or any way you want to, any tongue, it's all the same thing, you know. And to me, it's the people here, especially traditional people, the Native American people, if they want to get away from drugs and alcohol, they have to replace it with something of the spirit. See? And this is part of it right here, learning how to respect these deer, take care of those hides, because there's millions of them thrown away every year.
The meat is part of the spiritual food for the Indian people.
Ed Moses cooks for Native American gatherings, wherever he is called. He is more than mere cook. Venison and salmon give spiritual strength. It is healing food for those who hunt, those who eat, and those who prepare.
It's just like the rest of the people. I was trying to find some, but you don't know what. And I was a very troubled person. And then I didn't know it when I started doing this, what good help it was for me, you know, taking care of food for people. And it's just like the Creator smiled upon what I was doing, you know.
Moses had to search to find elders who remembered the old ways, who could show him how to prepare the meat and salmon, how to treat the fire.
There's very, very few elders that, you know, because of the way they were treated when they were younger, punished and stuff, that, you know, that's why I don't speak my language. Everything, you know, there's very few teachers around. But I wanted to learn how to do it right, so I traveled all over and learned from some of the elder people from other reservations, and I learned how to take care of the meat, you know.
And now, in his turn, Moses has become teacher to others.
I will not leave my kids a lot of money because I've wasted my life away, but I can leave them their spiritual self now. So I just keep praying. I just keep going to gatherings like this to pay my way in life, to pay people back, and try to be some kind of teacher, you know.
I love to sing. I love to sing. And I pray with the drum.
Just as the traditional crafts are basic to Native American life and spirituality, the drum circle and its music are the stories and storytellers, the history of the tribe.
We have a song, it's called The Hangman. The title is called The Hangman because the story behind that is there was Hangman Valley, Hangman Creek is where it originated from, because there was 3 Indians that was going to get hung, and their last request is to sing his death song.
But the songs of Wheezy Win and others here are more than just a record of what was. They are also inspiration, direction, tales of what can be.
It's like you're going up a mountain. You can feel the power from that drum, from everybody that sings it, the people that stand around behind it. We're all going up that mountain.
But with all the traditional arts and stories that have been saved, so much more has been lost. Most Native Americans don't speak their native tongue. Many songs have no real words, just sounds. The words have been forgotten. Many have no elders to train them in the old ways, the old beliefs. Now their struggle is to find who they are, what they've lost, to trace the walk of grandfather and grandmother.
Look at all these medical bills.
In fruitful land, they had little argument with the white man until the spring and summer of 1858. White settlers had discovered gold near Fort Colville. The cavalry wanted to keep the land open for miners and the Hudson Bay Company. The Confederated tribes feared encroachment. Plans to build a road through the inland Northwest and a large contingent of cavalry with Colonel Edward Steptoe were the final spark that set the Palouse country ablaze. It was a brief, violent, and decisive war.
We had not marched 3 miles when the Indians began an attack upon the rear guard, and immediately the fight became general. We had only a small quantity of ammunition, but in their excitement, the soldiers could not be restrained from firing it in the wildest manner. The difficult and dangerous duty of flanking the column was assigned to Brevet Captain Taylor and Lieutenant Gaston. To both, it proved fatal. 2 of the companies had musketoons, which were utterly worthless in our present condition, and what was most alarming, only 2 or 3 rounds of cartridges remained to some of the men.
Colonel Steptoe barely managed to escape from the Palouse battlefield. The defeat rested sorely with the Pacific Command, and Colonel George Wright was called in to teach the natives a lesson. As his command left Fort Walla Walla, Wright's orders were explicit.
You will attack all the hostile Indians you may meet with vigor. Make their punishment severe, and persevere until the submission of all is complete.
680 soldiers accompanied Wright. Members of the different tribes waited, encouraged by Steptoe's defeat. The Battle of 4 Lakes was born. This time, the natives were outmanned and outgunned.
In an instant was heard the voice of Major Greer ringing over the plain as he shouted, "Charge the rascals." We saw the flash of their sabers as they cut them down. Yells and shrieks and uplifted hands were of no avail as they rode over them.
After 3 days of rest, Wright continued the march and the fight onto the Spokane Plains. The natives set fire to the dry prairie grasses, sending walls of flame toward the cavalry troops.
It was curious to witness the scene, the dust and smoke and the noise and shouting. The men, flushed with their last victory, dashed through the flames, charged, and drove the enemy before them.
The battlefield defeats were not the end. Wright had captured hundreds of the tribe's horses and cattle, and rather than returning them to their owners or taking the trouble to ride herd on them, the decision was made to slaughter the animals, teaching the natives a signal lesson. More than 800 horses were herded into a natural bowl by the Spokane River, and over a period of 2 days, one by one, they were systematically shot. An incalculable blow to the natives. Wright reports on his progress.
The chastisement which these Indians received has been severe, but well-merited, and absolutely necessary to impress them with our power. For the last 80 miles, our route has been marked by slaughter and devastation. A blow has been struck which they will never forget.
Famous chiefs from the inland Northwest were involved. Kamiakin, Spokane Gary. Most sued for peace, their fighting will broken. Some, like Qualshan, were caught and hung unceremoniously on the banks of Hangman Creek. Since then, with the exception of the Nez Perce uprising, inland Northwest Native Americans never again fought against the will of the invading white man. Reservation lines were drawn. Children went to schools and churches built of wood and nails. They began wearing clothes of cotton and wool, learning the rules of a new society, encouraged to forget the traditions and teachings of their own culture, setting up a cycle of dislocation and despair that is still felt among Native Americans today.
My heart is so sad. My heart is so broken.
Finding and preserving the past, the life of the Native American culture, is today's battle.
After my generation is past, after I'm dead and gone, I'm the followers of my dad, my grandfather. Kasusus was my grandfather. Sinpak Jin is my dad. Kakchilhulau is my brother. Hitulau. Epiaut is my name. The language that we speak, it stops here.
Fires are banked and energies directed toward surviving the coming winter. But from an empty hall in Omak comes the sound of hope. 9 young men, together they make a drum circle. It can shape the future.
It feels pretty good to sit in that circle, and you make that circle. That's a circle that, like, we're making the circle of life.
These are the Eagle Bear drummers, tomorrow's generation of Native Americans learning the language and traditions of yesterday. Though most come from the Colville tribe, the language they sing is Sioux or Lakota. It's what they've been taught.
I treat the drum with respect because it's done so much things for my life. It makes me feel like a better person. Like I know something that I should have never lost. I didn't lose it, but somewhere down the road it should have never been lost. And it's something that has to come back.
These young men search to rekindle the past, find something of their heritage.
When I was younger, my grandma, I'd always go down there and she'd like teach me the Indian ways and stuff. And then when she passed away, you know, I just kind of lost contact because my mom and dad didn't really know much about the Indian culture and stuff. And it just seemed like I had a missing void there.
It is difficult to find elders who remember and who are willing to pass on their knowledge. The present generation of teachers was, in many cases, indirectly taught that anything Native was wrong.
It's been bad ever since I was that big growing up, because it was always dumb Indian, dirty Indian, blanket ass, all these things. Kids are cruel. Kids are mean.
There's a lot of our elders that died, you know, and they don't have no one to teach them things, you know, and there's some parents that don't know our Indian ways, know our traditions, you know, so they don't teach their kids them ways.
Oh, Yahweh, we are come.
And so the next generation searches for answers on their own. They teach each other, and already they think of how to pass their knowledge on.
Right now, I'm trying to teach all my nephews and nieces about it. You know, the sweat lodge, you know, how to pray for things that we take from Mother Earth.
But as fall fades into winter, the outlook becomes dreary. Unemployment, always high, bites harder during winter's chill. 2 young men commit suicide within weeks of each other. Spring seems very far away. Mike Paul and Pierre Louis make preparations for a sweat. Handed down generation to generation, the sweat lodge is a place to pray, to offer up one's burdens and cleanse one's body, mind, and spirit.
Got to visit with the deer and some of the coyotes and ravens and eagles and stuff all the way down. They tell me the stories. Said a good cold one is coming, so I listened to that.
This is a special sweat lodge. Sitting on the banks of Lake Roosevelt, Louis and Paul will pray in the lodge and then swim here and let the water wash their troubles away.
I sweat to get rid of the heavy loads that I acquire during the winter dance, and sometimes to strengthen myself when I go into a ceremony so that I can see and hear, become more aware of things.
It has been a sad winter. There is much to pray for. Today, these men pray for the children they feel are losing their culture.
I mostly pray so that they can see what I see, feel what I feel for this land.
Prayed for all the people that is left behind. We prayed for happiness. You know, that there was a lot of sadness and things going on, you know, so we prayed for them people, you know, that there is going to be happiness.
For what may be the first time ever, a camera is allowed inside this sacred place to play a part in this ceremony.
I think a lot of our Indian people here are maybe they're ashamed of who they are.
These men battle to keep their traditions alive. They want people to know what happens here.
I think that's what it is, fear, you know. Afraid to be what they are.
For too long we have hidden this away from the world. It's time, I think, we share with the world, since most of our own people have found it hard to live this good way. Lem kulan chut, Sometimes we thank the Creator for the water, the most powerful medicine. It cleanses us, helps us sweat, it quenches our thirst, washes our bodies.
You think you've seen every...
Thomas answered, "Spring is life and hope, a new song of thanks to the spirits of this world and the next."
First thing our eyes open up, the mind comes alive. First thing in the morning, first thing I do is give thanks to the Great Spirit.
And all things that is creation, Grandfather, Great Spirit. We give thanks, grandfathers to the east wind, Grandfather Eagle.
Our camera is an unusual but welcome guest at this pipe ceremony. Visitors from the north, John Thomas and Aline Laflamme, lead the circle. While the pipe ceremony is an ancient tradition handed down generation to generation, the prayers are of today, for today's troubles.
Doesn't matter whether my sister or my brother is from my family or my tribe or my nation. Doesn't matter whether it's a two-legged sister or a four-legged or one that swims or one that flies. We're all brothers and sisters here. So we come down and sit on the breast of our mother sometimes to help remember who we really are.
Preparations to share the pipes are elaborate. The smoke from a smudge bowl purifies with the essence of sage, cedar, tobacco, other herbs. Passing and smoking the pipe itself is a very intimate and spiritual sharing. The prayers of Tom Louie and others here are individual. But they tie the circle together.
It's very seldom that I bring my pipe out into a ceremony. Bring my pipe out today to pray. The cleanness of the river that I set here before.
They pray for a world that has changed.
My father and my grandfather and my forefathers used to live off of this river, from the fish and the salmon that used to come up. And now the river is so poisoned we can't even not eat our fish out of the river.
They pray for a people that have also changed.
I ask the Creator to open the eyes of my people, young and old, to understand the traditions and the importance of our prayers to Mother Earth, to help heal Mother Earth, to help heal the human being.
Kasusus was my grandfather. Sinpak Jin is my dad. Kakchil Hulao is my brother. Hitulao. Epiaut is my name. He can slim. He can scout to Sanawi. Thank each and every one of you, sisters, brothers. You, sister, for you, honor my pipe, honor me, honor my tradition, honor my culture. Thank you, Great Spirit, for letting me have this day. Maybe for this day, I can do something that will help my fellow man.